Live, local, now. This is the News at 11.
I have a piece of paper here saying that I owe the city $1,000 and to cease immediately. I take that seriously.
Well, some Garden City residents questioning a fine they got accusing them of violating a city ordinance. WTOC's Alyssa Jackson's digging deeper and found even city leaders asking why. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us for the News at 11. I'm Dawn Baker. We start tonight with a crash that shut down northbound I-95 for hours this evening. Let's take a look at the scene around 7:30 from one of our Georgia Department of Transportation traffic cameras. Chatham Emergency Services says the crash involved several vehicles in the I-95 northbound lanes near the Port Wentworth exit. 2 cars flipped and several people had to be pulled from their cars. Lifestar flew victims to the hospital. No word yet on any conditions or how many people were involved. Traffic is now open in all lanes. Garden City is attempting to shut down Airbnbs with some big fines, and some are facing notices of about $1,000 due. But the city might not be able to enforce it. Our Alyssa Jackson is joining us to tell us why.
Well, Dawn, there isn't a city ordinance or code that says they can't rent out Airbnbs. The city attorney confirmed that during this week's council meeting, but code enforcement is saying something different. Meanwhile, several residents are left trying to figure out what information to go with. Councilman Richard Lassiter ended Monday's Garden City Council meeting questioning how they're enforcing a code against Airbnbs when it doesn't exist.
Just be gung-ho and find them, and there's no ordinance in place or nothing stating that Airbnb is prohibited.
The city's attorney couldn't point to any codes that back up the reason for the fine.
Now, there isn't any permitted use for Airbnbs except for the situation where a resident is renting out their place. They're allowed to do that in the residential area right now.
Can I see that?
But alluded to the fact that there could be an ordinance coming soon.
When it's being drafted, I was not aware that people were actually being cited right now for that.
$1,000.
Okay. Now you told me, so now I know, so I'll look into that. And
Residents who showed up to the meeting, Heather Moore and Jerry Bazemore, were given the notice this week.
I received a knock on my door in the morning, and Garden City Code Enforcement was there, gun, badge, this in hand.
There was no deadline on the notice.
You know, the code enforcement officer said cease immediately. But city officials said to them in an email after the meeting that fines were, quote, suspended, but they still needed to remove the listing. They went on to say they would be, quote, monitoring, in other words, watching the area for compliance. It's inexcusable that they put these violation notices out for us to deal with and then try to figure out what's going on. You know, they left it up to the residents.
WTOC looked through the city's ordinances, including the 2 cited on the notice, occupational tax and permitted use. It was made clear during the meeting that there are no ordinances against short-term vacation rentals, yet residents still have paperwork that says they owe the city.
It's really confused me because it seems to me if you're taking down a $1,000 fine, then you've got no just cause for the $1,000 fine.
City officials could not be reached this afternoon for further comment. Both of the residents you just heard from took down their Airbnb listings after they were told about the fine and asked to remove them. We reached out to the mayor and city manager this afternoon asking how they'll be addressing these fines. We haven't received a response yet. We'll update you guys when we do.
Thanks a lot, Alyssa. We want to give you a live look outside with our WTOC Plant Riverside District Sky Cam. A nice warm evening out there, but what's ahead? Our Jamie Erdl joins us with some answers.
Yeah, you can see in your bottom right-hand corner under the WTOC that we are still in the 60s, Dawn. And take a look at these wake-up temperatures. We'll wake up in the low 60s with a little bit of cloud coverage, mild and dry. Your sunrise at 7:13. That full cold moon, the last full moon of 2022, sets at 7:43. So you might get some good pictures as it's setting, as the sun is rising. Now, we won't have to contend with any dense fog nor advisories. It was pretty dense this morning. Let's take a look at how it plays out. Let's stop the clock. This is 4:45 in the morning. Reduced visibilities, yes, but I think this is going to be near open fields along 17 and 21 or Highway 80 west of Savannah. And it just gets down to about 4 to 2 miles visibility at 7, and then it clears quickly. So no need to worry about that. But if you are in very rural areas, you may want to give yourself some extra time heading out the door. I'll have your complete, very warm first alert forecast coming up in minutes.
Well, the debate continues among Chatham County leaders about distributing the local option sales tax, or it's also called LOST. Now, the county and county leaders, as well as city leaders from the 8 cities within it, have not reached any kind of agreement. Shay Schrader explains the argument now that is over who's going to pay for sand on Tybee Island.
Do you feel like you're any closer to a decision being made?
Nope.
The battle between Chatham County and its cities continues. There's still no agreement on how to split lost revenue, and now beach renourishment on Tybee Island also becoming an issue.
We've already worked that out with the Corps of Engineers and Senator Ossoff and Tybee, because I was a part of that. So that's already in the plans. So you aren't really doing it. You aren't negotiating in good faith.
The county walked away from the table in a offer that we made that would have netted them $102 million over 10 years of additional revenue that they don't have now, and an opportunity to protect Tybee Island through their beach renourishment.
The cities were offering a flat 26-74% split between the county and the cities, but also wanted beach renourishment. The county, on the other hand, proposed taking the 26-74% split between the county and the cities, and then increasing the county's cut every year until it reaches 31% by 2025. Chairman Ellis says he thought the county was giving the cities what they wanted, and he was surprised when the cities rejected the offer. Ellis says he feels that of the 8 municipalities in the county, that the city of Savannah in particular is holding up negotiations.
The city of Savannah is really the holdup. By putting things like Bush Road in, or by putting things like Tybee beach renourishment in, you're not negotiating in good faith. Those things have been already done.
Jay Melder, Savannah city manager, says that in the deal the county walked away from, Savannah would have been giving up $76 million to Chatham County, which is a significant amount of money as costs continue to rise.
Well, I don't think that describes at all the city of Savannah holding up these negotiations. I think that describes the city of Savannah working hard, working in earnest to close this deal, to protect taxpayers, to protect property taxes, and to work in a spirit of collaboration with the county.
We don't know when the groups might be able to finally make a deal, as they're both saying the other side needs to play ball.
When the city of Savannah and those who are in the negotiating room come to the realization of what's going on, then they can call and we can decide. But we told them, we don't need to have all this going back and forth.
We're willing and have offered opportunities to be able to agree and sign and move on. The county has walked away. This is the second time they walked away from the mediation table. And so, we're not holding up. We're still here.
Now, if they can't come to an agreement by the end of December, the local option sales tax will expire. And if that happens, sales tax in Chatham County would go down by 1%, but residents might see an increase on their 2023 property tax bill as city governments try to make up the money. In the meantime, in the morning, we're hearing that the 8 cities will hold a news conference to give an update on these negotiations. We will be there and bring you the very latest. Well, more legal trouble for former President Donald Trump. We'll have details about more classified documents found on his property.
E-News closed captioning is sponsored.
We're following up on a deadly fire in West Penn Township in Pennsylvania that left 3 people dead, among them 2 firefighters. This afternoon, several fire companies responded to the fire where they found 1 person already deceased. 2 firefighters got trapped inside the home while trying to put out that fire. After a Mayday call was activated, they were rescued, but unfortunately passed away from their injuries. Police and the state police fire marshal are investigating the cause of that fire. Well, more classified documents have been found in possession of former President Donald Trump. Now, his lawyers told Scott McFarland they discovered new material while searching a storage unit in West Palm Beach, Florida.
A U.S. official confirms to CBS News representatives of former President Donald Trump alerted the FBI they've recovered yet another set of potentially sensitive documents, this time in a storage facility in West Palm Beach. The official confirmed inside a sealed box there were 2 documents with classified markings, adding to the more than 300 sensitive documents found this year.
Yet another instance in which Trump has failed to comply with lawful demands to return them.
This revelation is the first indication classified materials might have been held or might still be on site at other Trump properties. The searches were reportedly conducted around Thanksgiving at 3 other locations: the president's golf club in Bedminster, Trump Tower in New York, and in a storage facility at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. And at a time of growing legal peril for the former president.
The first question now is the Department of Justice satisfied they have everything? If they don't, how are they going to get the rest?
The FBI seized 33 boxes of records August 8th at Mar-a-Lago, including records that were supposed to be in the hands of the National Archives. Last month, the Justice Department appointed Special Counsel Jack Smith to oversee the growing probe into those documents. Trump has downplayed the importance of the seizures, but critics say mishandling of these records could have allowed highly sensitive material to fall into the wrong hands.
The disregard and disdain for legal norms and rules simply cannot be accepted from anyone. No one is above the law.
Last week, an appeals court overruled Trump's request for an independent special master to review some of the papers seized from Mar-a-Lago, which had slowed the investigation. Though Trump could still appeal that decision, the investigation into him grows and accelerates. Scott McFarland, CBS News, Washington.
Getting into the holiday spirit by reaching out to families dealing with difficult times. The efforts here made it home in honor of a sweet little boy gone too soon.
And a live look now from our Georgia Southern Skycam over the Statesboro campus. I'll have your complete first alert forecast after the break. All right, let's start with a little fun tonight because it's the last full moon of 2022, and it did not disappoint. This photo is from Kat Johnson, and I was wondering, okay, what is that over there? That's the Tybee Island Lighthouse. So thank you so much for sending that in, and it's called the cold full moon. Nothing cold about our forecast, though. Let's go ahead and take a look from the airport, and temperatures are still very mild. Now, the airport temperature gauge is a little wonky. So if you did see this afternoon that we made it up to 85, you're like, oh, we broke a record. I don't think we really did. I saw the hourlies, and it looked like we just topped off about 80 degrees, and I don't think it's still 69 there either. So we can't trust that temperature right now, but we can trust the other ones. It's 60 in Statesboro, 61 in Claxton, and still 64 on Hilton Head. We've got a stationary front situated right across the Tennessee Valley and back toward Texas, and we've got high pressure in control, but we did have some stratocumulus clouds streaming in tonight, a broken cloud structure, and that's making the moon even more mystical out there. Farrah and Farrah first alert live radar on a slow sweep, and take a look at these temperatures waking up. Upper 50s, Statesboro, Estill, Hampton, 61 Savannah, 59 Darien and Jessup, 59 Hilton Head and Tybee. Tomorrow's planner, it'll be warm to start, and it's only going to get warmer as we head through the mid-morning hours. 68 at 10, lunchtime 74, 77 at 2, and about 77 at 4 o'clock, still in the low 70s after sunset, and so that's setting up for another warm Friday. In the meantime, forecast highs for tomorrow, Thursday, 80 Alma, Nahunta, 78 St. Simons, 78 for Onion Country, Hinesville, Darien, 80, 78 Sylvania, Statesboro, 79 Savannah down through Hunter Army Airfield, cool spot 74 Hilton Head, and 78 Estill and Hampton. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Christmas light forecast if you're heading out and about tomorrow night. And it is giving me trouble, so we are going to skip. Oh, there it is. We may have some broken clouds, much like we're going to have tonight. And take a look. I got the Griswold hands in there and everything. Partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. So if you are heading out to look at Christmas lights tomorrow, 6, 7, 8, 72 at 6 o'clock, 69 at 8, or 68 at 8 o'clock. So very warm. Don't encourage really hot cocoa drinking or anything like that. You can, but I mean, it's going to be warm rolling around in the car. There we go. 79, 77, pair of 69s for the weekend and a slight chance of showers heading into Sunday.
Well, missing 20-month-old Quentin Simon's remains were recovered by the Chatham County Police Department a few weeks ago. There hasn't been any kind of funeral service yet, but Shay Schrader shows us how some who cared about Quentin are still honoring his memory.
Quentin Simon would have celebrated his second Christmas this year. This holiday season, both his family and other people that cared about him made a surprise donation of around 700 toys to the Ronald McDonald House of the Coastal Empire, both to honor Quentin and spread some joy in his name. Billy Sorachak, the executive director at Savannah's Ronald McDonald House, says that a donation of that size will go a long way this Christmas season. He says that they serve around 300 families every year, and that for families that are staying at the house over the holidays, donations in many cases are what allow them to have a traditional Christmas. Between the medical bills and the stress families face, many of them don't have the time or resources to go shopping and pick out presents. Sorachak says a donation like this one is a huge stress reliever for a lot of families and proof that something positive can come from something awful.
Not all our families get to leave happy, so this is something that is a common experience. I've lost 327 children and during my stay here as director, and every single family who has that loss, it's tough. It's tough to be a part of it, but you know that, if anything, things like this is something that came out of it for other families, and that's inspiring.
Parents will be able to pick out which toys they want to give to their children, and if they aren't able to wrap them themselves, there will be volunteers one day to help with that. Reporting in Savannah, Shay Schrader, WTOC News.
So I stopped by Benedictine football practice, and a former Richmond Hill standout declares for the NFL draft. That and more right after this.
Foundation settlement can be serious. Cracks that start here.
On Friday, BC football will look to accomplish what no other prep football, basketball, or baseball program in Savannah has been able to accomplish in 75 years. That is, win back-to-back state championships. The last Savannah team to do so was the Savannah High School basketball team in 1946-47. The Cadets are set to clash with 14-0 Cedartown at 3:30 p.m. at Center Park Stadium in Atlanta. Winning is simply a tradition for BC football, and I asked the players what they believe is the main catalyst behind the sustained success outside of the elite talent.
Yeah, just the brotherhood that we have. It's one of the main, things of this school. It's what they say when you first get here is brotherhood, and we just want to see each other succeed and just push each other to a higher standard, and that's all about the brotherhood.
It's hard, but we have to do it. Like, we all got to sacrifice our body and our time to be champions. So that's what we've been doing. Like, it's been really long and fun.
The players heard the chatter that this year's team wasn't supposed to be as talented as last year's, fueling extra motivation.
We knew that since first game of the season. We saw coming in from spring and summer that everyone was we had a different mentality going into the season, proving that, we were basically the underdogs coming off that great season from last year.
We're never looking ahead to the state championship. Coach Burt said it in the beginning of the year. He said last year's state championship was last year. This year, y'all have to go earn it. The goal is to just win every game, one game at a time.
WTOC will be live from Georgia State on Friday to see if the Cadets can make it back-to-back. College football. Earlier this week, Stetson Bennett won the Burlsworth Trophy, which goes to the nation's top player who began his career as a walk-on. More Bulldogs pick up honors on Wednesday. After losing 15 players to the NFL draft, Kirby Smart is named SEC Coach of the Year, as voted on by the coaches. Kicker Jack Podlesny was also named SEC Special Teams Player of the Year. Podlesny made 23 of 26 kicks this season and made all 61 of his extra points. Big news for former Richmond Hill star wideout Sam James, as James announces that he will forego his final year of eligibility and enter the NFL draft. James finishes his career at West Virginia with 190 receptions for 2,229 yards with 15 touchdowns. That yard total is good for 8th most all-time in West Virginia history, and its 190 receptions are the 5th most. We hope to hear from James in the coming days. College hoops, the Georgia Southern men get back above 500 after their 91-47 rout of Piedmont. Forward Carlos Curry had a 20-point, 12-rebound double-double. Andre Savrazov also had a double-double with 12 points, 11 boards. Tyron Moore chipped in 14 points. The Eagles next play on Saturday at home against Wofford at 3 p.m. That's all for sports. We'll be right back after this.
Car accident, get to
Georgia getting into the holiday spirit at the Capitol, the state capitol, the Christmas tree lighting this evening. And Governor Brian Kemp, along with the First Lady, hosted the event alongside their 3 daughters. The governor delivered remarks about the importance of generosity during the holiday season and wished everyone well during this special time. God, what a huge tree. And Santa is already making some stops for the holidays. Mr. Claus hitched a ride to the Luskin Orthopedic Institute in LA, hanging from the side of the LAPD helicopter. He landed on the rooftop and rappelled down the side of the building to meet kids and, of course, take some photographs. I think that's the coolest Santa so far.
It's nice to see how he actually gets around, you know?
Yeah, I mean, rappelling.
Sleighs,
did Santa
motorcycles.
Did he ever come in on a jet ski? Did he ever on the Savannah River?
Not on the Savannah, but I've seen stories out of Florida, I think. Does that sound right when you live down there?
Yes.
Yeah.
We need him on the river here.
There's no stopping Santa, man. He does the riverboat, though, with the kids.
Okay, that's right.
I didn't realize he was such an athlete, too. I mean, it takes some serious skill to do that.
I was kind of worried. Like, what if somebody didn't know he was coming down the building? And they called 911?
Yeah. That would make me think I'm going crazy if I saw Santa coming down the side of the building. What about this weather, though? Not crazy, but definitely not seasonal.
Not seasonal, but I'm not complaining. It was really nice outside today. It was a little muggy, though. That's the only thing I feel like we can complain about. But there is cooler weather in the forecast this weekend, upper 60s. Still a little damp out there because we'll have a chance of rain. And then looks like 64 is the coolest. We'll see you tomorrow at daybreak.